Rajiv ji for the kind introduction, and dear Sri Unni Mangata or Unniatan, other respected dignitaries, delegates attending this afternoon program, I would like to extend my pranams to one and all of you, and say a big thank you to Rajiv ji and Vibhavani Kerala chapter for giving me with this opportunity to talk to you all on this wonderful online platform. Thank you very much. And let us begin our session. Chadurmukha Samarambham Vakbhadacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryandam Vande Guru Parambaram. It is an old fashion of starting a session with a Guru Vandanam. Actually, I am asked to talk or present something to discuss about the role of Swastha Vrittam for social health. That is the subject what I am asked to talk. Role of Swastha Vrittam in public health. Swastha Vrittam. I do understand that this is somewhat like an assorted type of audience. So I'll not be going too much of a technical jargons, and I'll try to make my points as simple as possible and as communicable as possible. Ayurveda, first of all, let me make a statement that Ayurveda is going to be the healthcare system of the future. As Rajiv ji rightly told, this is an ancient system, this is an Indian system. And as of now, world over, the norm is to have the Western medical system as the standard of care for every ailment, whatever it is. But I think in the wake of this COVID-19 pandemic, maybe in the last 10, 11 months, I would say, considering the onset of this pandemic way back in December in China, that we have started changing our way of thinking about what is health. I'm pretty sure that I hope I can be heard.
Yes, we can hear.
Thank you. Everyone of the present generations in a given time of in a given period of time, definitely there will be 3 or 4 generations living together in a society. And I'm pretty sure that everybody might not have gone through an episode of such a pandemic like what we are going through right now. Of course, we have the history lessons, the stories of the past. But such a huge epidemic, which can be called by the name of a pandemic, is not that common. And with the advent of modern technology, modern medicine, modern healthcare standards, infrastructure, we were of the mindset that mankind, or humankind, is on the verge of conquering death forever. We were making clones, human clones, just because of some ethical issues. It was stopped halfway. We can transplant many organs in the system. We can generate many organs from the stem cells. So there is no or little area within the human body which is left unexplored by the arms of modern technology. To this particular scenario is what we see, this particular pandemic caused by SARS-CoV-2 virus, and we called it as COVID-19. And now literally we are stuck. Unprecedentedly, we are keeping some sort of a physical distancing, social distancing, lockdowns, no colleges, no schools, no marriage party, no malls, no metros, no get-togethers. And we are all hiding behind our own curtains, walls, or confined within the four walls of our homes just because of a virus. So this has actually provoked a lot of contemplative thoughts about the way in which we are progressing. Is this the right way of doing things? Is there an alternative possible, a better alternative? It is not the issue of Kerala, India, or South Asia. The entire world is looking for alternatives, an alternative which can have a better say, better answer to situations like this. I don't think or feel that the world is on the verge of a transformation. It is nothing like that. It is just like waiting for the green signal in a traffic junction. We think that we are all going to change in a positive way, getting transformed with enlightened minds. It is not so. The moment the green light comes, we will start rushing in the same pace or even a better pace than what we used to have earlier. But still, there are a huge number of people, huge number of policy makers who have started rethinking if this is the right way of doing things positively, progressively. And that is where the answers like Ayurveda is popping up to the center stage. See, COVID has changed the norms. I don't think it is just because of the number of deaths or the number of people involved with the infection. If it was just because of the number of deaths, say maybe nearly 1 year it is now after the onset of COVID-19, and 13 lakh people have died so far. But interestingly, if death was the main concern, I do not know how many of you know the fact that nearly 80 lakh people die, including children, every year in the world because of hunger. 80 lakh people die every year out of hunger. So if death was the number of the deaths was the concern, I think we should be more concerned about hunger, not about COVID. So that is not the issue. The issue is, number one, COVID affects everyone. There is no exclusion of the urban elites. There is no discrimination between the rich and the poor. Number two, none of our huge medical institutions, medical mechanism has got an answer for that. And number three, COVID demands everybody to change. It is because of these three reasons that we are scared. We are afraid of the COVID-19. It is not just because of the huge number of deaths that has happened or happening because of the this issue. We were quite confident that the healthcare system of our nation, our state, our country will take care of our issues, especially if we have money. But if you have noticed the trend change, in the latest of the advisories published by various governments, need not be of India alone or the different states of India alone, everywhere there is one towering statement in it. That is like this: your health is your responsibility. It was not like that earlier. Your health was the state's responsibility. Now it is your health is your responsibility, which is a big change, big shift in the trend. Everything has changed. That is what it means. And it is in that situation where we started saying that your health is your responsibility, that we are sitting here on this very important day of National Ayurveda Dhanvantari Jayanti and discussing how one particular segment of Ayurveda called Swasthavritta can be of any use in the social well-being, in the social health, and so on. While discussing or coming to a discussion on this particular point, first of all, I have to admit certain things. The Ayurvedic Acharya Vakbhada documents one comment. He is from the 500 AD or Common Era, and he makes a statement that the yoga kshema of a society, the yoga kshema, the sustenance and well-being, let me translate it into such a maybe a near correct words. The yoga kshema of the society is dependent upon the ruler. Years back, one German physician or an anthropologist, a pathologist, a biologist, a writer, Dr. Rudolf Virchow or Virchow, whoever it is, made a very bold statement. It goes like this: medicine is a social science, and politics is nothing else but medicine on a large scale. Medicine as a social science, as a science of human beings, has the obligation to point out problems and to attempt their theoretical solution. The politician, the practical anthropologist, must find the means for their actual solution. That is how the medicine and the politics are closely related, complementing one another for the larger cause of social well-being. So this fact I should admit, because as a system of healthcare, Ayurveda cannot be expected to show miracles as long as there is no perfect match between the policy making and the concepts of Ayurveda. Still, definitely we all know that in the national level, Ayurveda is seeing definitely a game-changing type of evolution. Ayurveda is not the old Ayurveda these days. That is why we are sitting here with this banner of National Ayurveda Day. And Ayurveda in the national level is a part and parcel of many programs these days. In the Clinical Trials Registry of India, post-COVID, 150 trials are registered somewhere or other related to Ayurveda. So definitely Ayurveda is changing, but it doesn't mean that this is the common trend everywhere in India or abroad. Still, I think as a philosophy, as a Shastra, Ayurveda has many things to contribute for the social well-being in this emerging social situation. So one word I used was Swastha Vritta. I think I should say something about that word. Swastha Vritta as a single word has two halves in it. One is Swastha and the second is Vritta. Swastha means somebody who is enjoying, experiencing ideal, optimal health. That is Swastha. It has got multiple components. It has got a physical component, mental component, spiritual component, and social component, definitely. So somebody who is enjoying or experiencing that optimal level of health is known as Swastha. And Vritta means the regimen, the practices which is to be followed every day, every second by such a Swastha is known as Swastha Vritta. So Swastha Vritta is that art and science explained in Ayurveda which will help the follower to gain perfect health. I don't say that perfect health, sorry for that, optimal health. There is no concept called perfect health. It is made by the industry. So the optimal health, which is many a times very subjective, and the way in which such a person should live in a society so as to be maintaining it for the sake of his own life and also for the betterment of the society. So that is simply Swastha Vritta. So Swastha Vritta for social well-being is self-explanatory by the word itself. But still, we will look into some of the nuances or the finer aspects of the concept. As far as Ayurveda is concerned, it is not just about using herbs or minerals available in the nature in raw form as medicines. It is not like that. Or it is not just a handful or a bag full of raw information which the modern technology or science can take up, do further evaluations and validations to make it refined as scientific. It is not so. It is an independent system, Shastra we call it, which has got its own philosophy, its own principles, and logic to decipher human life. That is very important. It has got its own logic to decipher the human life. And as far as practice of Ayurveda is concerned, I should say that everything is Ayurveda. Everything is Ayurveda because it is an attitude. It is an attitude which inculcates the concept of positivity in health while living in a society as an individual and as a member of the society. So it is that attitude which is going to be dominating in the practice of Ayurveda. So everything is Ayurveda that way. Ayus is life. Ayus means life. And how should one live? It is a philosophical question, and which is churned many times by the ancient seers as well as the current day philosophers, politicians, anthropologists, or whoever it is. In some of the Ayurvedic literatures, we can see this Ayus as divided into 4 categories or 4 types, not categories, but types. 2 among the 4 are Sukha Ayu and Hita Ayu. And the remaining 2 are the just opposites. For Sukha Ayu, we have Dukkha Ayu, and for Hita Ayu, we have Ahita Ayu. Sukha Ayu means a life which focuses on the individual's health, comfort, pleasure, and satisfaction. Whereas Hita Ayu is something which takes care of the pleasure, the satisfaction, the happiness, the anandam of the individual as well as the society. And the other opposites, Dukkha Ayu means even the individual's happiness, satisfaction is not taken care of. And Ahita Ayus is the individual may be or may not be in happiness, satisfaction, fulfillment, contentment, but the society will not be. So this is the way in which Ayus is categorized in some of the Ayurvedic literatures. This makes sense. This makes sense because Ayurveda as a system having social responsibility advises an individual to live a life which is an ayus which is sukham as well as hitam. Samaja kalyanam is very important. It is not just about acquiring wealth as a person, as a family, but it is about making sure that the wealth is having some sort of a distribution within the society, which has got some sort of a parity, which is somewhat equitable, and make sure that society at large is enjoying the sort of pleasure, happiness, contentment, fulfillment, and satisfaction. So that concept is the root from which Ayurveda emanates. Unlike many other current systems of medicine, especially the Western system of medicine, the root of Ayurveda is not in trade or business, or not in making money. Of course, those who are engaged in Vaidya as a profession should get their bread and butter, should be comfortable to live with what they practice, no doubt at all. But the primary target is not that. It is the samajika kalyanam. It is the yoga kshemam of the society with which Ayurveda is supposed to work in the current society. That is how Ayurveda is going to be for the social health or social well-being first-handedly. And as far as health is concerned, it has got many facets. It is not just one facet thing. It has got multiple facets. There can be personal aspects. There can be domestic aspects. or familial ones. There can be social, and there are many other deeper and wider perspectives for health. So all these things are to be taken care of. And interestingly, all these well-being concepts starts from the level of the individual. We always used to say, let the system change, then I will change. We used to blame the system for everything. But we should be convinced of the fact, at least in the present pandemic situation, where the governments are repeatedly warning that your responsibility, your health is your responsibility. You can change the word health and put anything in that place. Your wealth is your responsibility. Your health is your responsibility. Your well-being is your responsibility. Everything is going to be your responsibility in the wider canvas of the concept that the change starts from the individual. The change starts from the individual. So Ayurveda obviously can be seen focusing on the changes of the individual, no doubt about it. Ideally, if you look into the textbooks, the classical works, the Samhitas of Ayurveda, you can see that the entire work is focusing on a person. It is something like a conversation. You can, the reader or the learner and the text. There is a conversation between the reader or the learner and the text. Of course, the text represents a guru, a teacher. Ideally, it is a one-on-one conversation between a guru and his disciple. Even if the number of the disciples increases, it may not go beyond maybe 5 or 6. So practically, it will be a one-on-one conversation. So the teacher, the master, the guru will be teaching the individual, the learner, on how you should change, how you can be healthy. So there is some sort of a customization. One individual's life, one day, every day, one season, every seasons, one individual in a family, one family in a society, one society in a country. Like that, the change is focused on the basic units. It is something like constructing a wall. Every brick should be healthy. If there is a weak brick, a broken brick, however strong the rest of the big bricks are, we have to admit that the wall is weak. So the change should start from the individual. Ayurveda is very keen about the change in the individual level. It advises certain concepts, proposes certain concepts like Dinacharya, Rutucharya. In the Dinacharya, one will find that Dinacharya, Dina means day, Charya means the regimen that you have to follow. So the regimen that one person has to follow in a standard day, so as to make himself healthy and his environment healthy. Let it be his family, his workplace, his society, or wherever he is getting engaged with. So you will find a very descriptive suggestions. It is not instructions, but suggestions, which you can customize according to your desha, your kala, your sahacharya. And that dinacharya, if you have time, may please go through some of the works done in that field, maybe in your language, comfortable language, about dinacharya. it takes care of even the minutest aspects of human life. How you should interact with your people around. When should you get up in the day, in the morning? In the early morning, you get up before sunrise, because sun is a guest to your house. Sun is a guest who is going to come to your house with the message of health. So like receiving any guest, if a guest is supposed to come to your home, you are not supposed to get up after the guest's arrival, isn't it? In the same way, you should get up before the guest enters your home. So get up before the sunrise. See how silly the message is, but how strong the content is. So from that point, how should you brush your teeth? How should you gargle? How should you eat your food? How should you dress up yourself? What all cosmetics can be used? How should you exercise? How should you be bathing? Whether to do oil massage or not? If yes, when, with what? If not, why and when? Then whether you can go for something else, like maybe this putting some medicines or medicinal compounds in the eye to enhance your vision, taking care of your capacity of the sensory organs, then engaging yourself in some sort of a industrious activity which will make sure that you are getting your bread and butter on a daily basis. You are not getting troubled in tough times. Then how to behave in a society, how to behave in a meeting, in a sabha. So all these things can be seen, proposed, suggested with their own logical point of explanation. Why? How to behave with the other gender, how to engage in sexual activity, how to sleep, how to drink water. So on a standard day, whatever your engagements are, Ayurveda has a proposal. Ayurveda has something to say. Whatever it is, Ayurveda has something to say how to make it healthy, positive, and bringing pleasure, comfort, satisfaction to the individual as well as others around, to the society at large, and also to the environmental things. The concepts are not limited to human beings. That is the most interesting part of it. Vagbhada at one point comments, before you take your meal, make sure that your guests have taken their meal. The elderly people have taken their meal. Your servants have taken their meal. Children have taken their meal. You have done tarpanam of the Guru, Deva, Adidhi. And you have satiated the other beings in your home, like your pets, your cows, or your bullocks. Then you take your meal. And in a different situation, you will find very towering statements in a book which is considered as a medical text, like Atmavad Sadadam Pashyed Abhikida Pipilikam. Abhikida Pipilikam. Kidam. Chudra Kidam. Small insects. Pipiligam, the ants around. You consider even these small insects and the ants around you, surrounding in your vicinity, as Atmavad. You are considering yourself as Atmavad, having their spirits and souls. So this is how the message goes how to live in a society. Bhaktya kalyana mitrani seveda. Get engaged with good friends. That is the right way to keep yourself healthy and satisfied. Keep others away. And never try to gain wealth by distracting, disrupting, destroying other lives. Paropaghata kriyaya varjayeda arjanam shriyaha. The interesting thing is that these quotes what I made here is not from any philosophy textbook, not any from Dharma Shastras, but from a medical textbook. That is where the entire concept of medicine is rewritten. Medicine is not about prescribing. It is about the wholesomeness of life of the individual and developing from the individual plane to the entire society. It percolates the message, the positivity, the vibrations. It is percolating all around, making the society healthy at large. That is why I used the word Samaja Kalyanam as the mission of Ayurveda that way. One can find the concepts of Punyam and Pabam thrown into the scene many a times in the Ayurvedic literature. Many a times Ayurveda is blamed for that. As a representative of Ayurveda, I consider that blame as something like a feather on the crown of Ayurveda. Let it be blamed, that is what I would say. Because those who are blaming the concepts of Punya and Paba actually do not know what is meant by Punya and Paba in Ayurveda. Punya and Paba, say, take the case of Punya. Punyam is that activity which will make yourself, as I told in the case of Hitayus, Punyam is that activity which will make yourself healthy and happy as well as others. Parobagara Punyaya. So Punyam is all about Parobagara. That is the Mahatva, the greatness of these concepts. And Pabam is the opposite. So anything which will harm the individual and the society at large is a Paba. It is not about some religious rituals or some ritualistic beliefs, what is told as Punya and Paba. That is why I told that earlier that I consider this blame that Ayurveda deals with Punya and Paba as a feather on its crown. Yes, Ayurveda discusses with Punya and Paba because it is concerned with, as I told earlier, the Kalyana, Samaja Kalyanam. Samaja Kalyanam, that means the well-being of the society, the Mangalam of the society. As far as the treatment side is concerned, I don't think that I'm going to explain any particular disease or something like that. By and large, the treatment concepts of Ayurveda is highly host-centered, not guest-centered. I will explain. The guest-centered attitude of medical care is what really put us in this particular point of crisis, of dilemma. Here the guest means something which is from outside getting into our system, our body. The microorganisms, bacteria, virus, fungus, or whatever it is. in the recent times, especially with the advent of the modern medical technology, antibiotics, and that set of armaments, our thought process have changed in such a way that there is a microorganism behind every problem, and the best remedy is to kill it. Definitely, I should thank the attitude and developments of modern medicine, which I also enjoy many a times. Many of the society members of the society enjoys the same, but at the same time, that thankfulness should not prevent me from pointing out certain mistakes that they have committed. The very idea of killing the guest unconditionally have put all of us, the entire humankind, in a deep crisis of many diseases emerging day in and out, which has become resistant to these armaments. And that is where we are. If you take the different types of viral diseases that has emerged in the last 20 years or plus, practically nothing has worked. The viral diseases many a times emerges as huge tsunami, and it strikes the shore and ends up when its natural urge, speed, rhythm, velocity is over. And that is what has happened in the case of most of the viral diseases in the last 2 decades. It is not out of the power of the medicines that we survived, but it is out of the mercy of these organisms. Again, in the case of the COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2 is not the first virus that has attacked the humankind, and it is not going to be the last virus which is attacking humankind. So we have to change our strategy. Ayurveda proposes that our strategy should be host-oriented or host-centered. You have to keep your system intact. You have to keep your body intact. And you have to learn to coexist with these microorganisms. These microorganisms are equally privileged to live in the society, in the earth, in this globe, in this environment. And we are only a part of this huge variety of flora and fauna residing in this earth. And there should be a principle of some sort of a mutualistic understanding to live together. It is not going to help anybody if we come up with a strategy of killing each other. So the concept of Ayurveda, that everything should be done in a pro-host way, which should be a lifestyle-centered way, not a drug-based way, is going to lead the world, the philosophy of medicine in the coming days. That is why I made a statement that Ayurveda is going to be the medicine of the future, or the futuristic medicine. There are many things yet to add about Sastavrta, about Ritucharya. Ritucharya actually highlights the importance of living according to the local seasons. We are all repeatedly saying that the climate is changing globally, and we are facing many diseases, many health issues as part of this climate change. And there are philosophers of health who pointed out very brilliantly that the epidemics and the pandemics like COVID-19 is not accidental things, but the results of long-term manipulation that the mankind has done on the global climate, and we have to suffer this punishment. Ritucharya is the art and science of living according to the local weather, local climate. And we can find the beautiful explanations as given as suggestions to live according to the various degrees, permutations, and combinations of hot weather, cool weather, and the monsoon. which is written maybe 2500 or 5000 years ago, can be followed ditto even today, and will make sure that this is going to be the right way of healthy living. There are many things. I can maybe speak for us together, considering each and every single point of Ayurvedic wisdom. But I think due to the fear of extending the talk unconditionally, I think I should retire now. I think I've taken almost 40 minutes, and I'll be happy to have maybe a couple of interactions with the delegates. As I mentioned earlier, being a very assorted audience, I have tried to make the points as raw as possible, as simple as possible, and looking for a healthy interaction from all of you. And once again, I thank Rajivji, Vibhavani, and Sri Unni Mangata for giving me with this opportunity. Thank you, and wish you all the best in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You are saying that a PPT I'm going to present. Actually, the PPT, if it is in the PPT, it would have an introduction, I think. For the interactive session, if any participants has any clarifications or anything to ask, please. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Thank you, Prasad sir. I have a question. Can I ask?
Please, Rajivji.
Yeah. See, it was a very enlightening speech regarding the basic contribution of Ayurveda and how Ayurveda will be in the future for solving the various issues related to the health in the whole world. So my question is, you have explained well on the Dinacharya and Ritucharya, but I would like to know, apart from the guidance for the way of living, what could be the possible contribution in the area of therapeutics, meaning the applying medicines? Not in an elaborate way, can you just give some idea how the medicinal contribution of Ayurveda can also be part of the health management?
Okay, actually, I deliberately kept it away because the context of the talk is a little bit different, but definitely I can say some brief about it. As far as maybe the situations like the present pandemic or the COVID-19 or something else of that sort is concerned, I think Ayurveda is taking it in a different way when compared with the approach of modern medicine. As I told earlier, it is not just about the killing the organism. It is more host-oriented programs. So there is medicines, lifestyle modifications, including dietary changes, which can improve the strength, vitality, which we call as balam or vyadhik kshamata of the system. So many a times, the medicines given will be focusing on enhancing this vitality or the ojas or the Vyadhikshamata of the individual. There are many things that can be done in that line. Primary focus will be on maintaining the healthy environment of the digestive system, especially a principle called Agni. When this Agni is working properly, you can make sure that the threats from outside is nullified. You are in trouble when your Agni is in trouble. So maintaining the health of the Agni is going to be the most crucial part, especially in times of epidemics. This concept of Agni is metaphorically connected to many other things in Indian philosophy. We used to nurture the Agni in all our activities. We used to make the Agni a witness to every good thing happening, and we are giving everything, including our food, as something like an offering to the Agni. Idam Agnaye Swaha. Idam na mama. That is how our approach is. So in the case of the therapeutic as well, the first line of approach will be to enhance the functional status of Agni, and by achieving that target, we make sure that there are little threat from the outside. Keeping your body intact by maintaining your Agni healthy is something like making your home stronger, your gate, your walls, your doors, everything stronger. When you have a strong residence, you have little fear from the threats from outside. So the medicines like Rasayana Dravyas, then medicated water, medicated preparations like Kashayam, all these things will be primarily focusing on the capacity and the strengthening of the Agni. There are many other procedures which may be cleaning your environment in a better way, like the procedure of fumigating herbs within your premises, your home, your bedroom. There are combinations of medicines which are widely used for fumigation. We call it as dhupanam, which will be making your living environment, your premises quite healthy in terms of the standard of air. And the dietary preparations will be modified in such a way by adding certain herbs into it, by making the special spices as integral part of the preparations. All these things will be focusing on the natural capacity of the body to withstand the attacks of these sort of organisms. So it is not about killing them, but it is about maintaining our status intact. So this is what the therapeutics of Ayurveda in a nutshell. And coming adding one more sentence, a Vaidya is always looking for what is the status of the internal environment of the individual whom he is treating. Like any other system, human body is also having an internal environment within. And when the internal environment is optimal, we can make sure that all the systems inside are working properly. A person is coming to a Vaidya seeking a treatment. When one or the other of his system is not working properly, he is not feeling comfortable, and the Vaidya first-handedly identifies that the internal environment is contaminated. Once the internal environment is diagnosed as contaminated, the Vaidya tries to pinpoint where the issue has happened. Not in terms of the organisms, but in the terms of the organs, the systems, the other pathways within the system. All these things are taken into consideration and tries to pinpoint the error and to translate this error into technically complex terms like Tridosha, like Vada, Pitta and Kapha, and assess them and rectify the faulty system by doing appropriate corrections in lifestyle, diet, supported by medicine. And regarding the medicine, there are basically two approaches. One is to do pacifying act with medicines, which is known as Shamana Chikilsa, and another one is to cleanse the system of the morbid principles, which is known as Shodhana Chikilsa or Panchakarma, which is more famous. So the treatment aspect has got two types, Shamana Chikilsa or Shodhana Chikilsa, which is known as Panchakarma. This is what Ayurveda therapeutics is in a nutshell. Rajivji, I think that is fine.
Thank you, sir, very much. Very clear and precise. Any other questions? We can, for the next 10 minutes more, we can have some questions. Hari Prasad ji, any question from your side? Hari Prasad ji? Actually, even from Haryana, Bengal, I can see so many of our members here. From across the states, so many people have come. Achintya Ghosh from Bengal is there. So if any questions are there related to the importance of Ayurveda as a medicine in the future. So this is a valuable time. So please ask questions.
I will ask one question. Any suggestion to senior citizen during this pandemic period from the point of view, Ayurveda point of view?
Definitely, sir. Senior citizens are supposed to be more prone to get infected because, as I told earlier, the system is little bit in the declining side. That is why always we specify certain groups of people in the cross section of the society as more fragile or more morbid. As far as the senior citizens are concerned, two things. Number one, the longer you live, more is your possibility to have lifestyle diseases. Things like diseases like this diabetes or hypertension, heart diseases, all these things are becoming more common as you live longer, which is quite natural. There is no doubt about it. These comorbidities make the system more fragile and more easy to get afflicted by the sort of diseases as we have with this pandemic. Number two, even if there is any sort of comorbidity, any sort of ailment, an aging system is a declining system. A declining system will have its own wear and tear, which again makes the system a little bit more prone to get afflicted. So these two things we have to take into consideration. If you have a comorbidity like diabetes or whatever it is, make sure that the issue is under perfect control with whatever mode of management you are on. Make sure that your disease is under control. You should be taking the medicines properly and you should be checking the condition on a regular basis. And regarding the age factor is concerned, I can give you certain tips. Number one, keep your mental attitude as positive and relaxed as possible. You can resort on anything which is healthy, like going for a walk, listening to a music, engaging in a chat with the family members, maybe watching a film which will make you relaxed, practicing yoga, or even to the extent of practicing dance if you can. Because all these physical activities are going to make your system more young and vibrant. So that is the best way to keep your resistance mechanism intact and well placed. Number two, all the things which I explained earlier, like keeping your internal environment within the home healthy by practicing certain ancient tips like fumigating some herbs within the house. You can go for neem leaves, tulsi leaves, turmeric, then most of the kitchen herbs you can use for fumigation as well. This hing, all these things can be excellent agents which can be used for fumigating within, inside the house. And add a few drops of ghee as well, ghee. Then, as far as this particular pandemic is concerned, you can practice some medicated gargling every day. Mouth and the respiratory tract are supposed to be the primary portals of entry of this infection. So you can put maybe 1/4 of a teaspoon of a powder called Tribhala Churnam in maybe 300 ml of water, boil it for a few minutes and make it lukewarm, filter it, add a pinch of salt in it and do gargling every day, if possible morning and evening. That will give excellent resistance to your oral cavity against these sort of infections. Then there are certain oils which are used as nasal medications. One example is a medicine called Untitled. So I would strongly recommend all senior citizens to put 1 drop of this Untitled, irrespective of their medical background, every day in the morning. And you can inhale it. If it comes to your oral cavity, spit it out. So first do this Untitled, we call it as Nasyam. So first do Untitled Nasyam and then go for that Tribhala gargle, which I explained earlier. Then sleep properly. Elderly people should sleep at least 6 to 7 hours. If you are not used to, don't go for daytime sleep. In any case, don't skip your night sleep. If your physical activity is minimal, keep your diet as simple as possible. Take easy to digest stuffs. Take plenty of vegetables and ripened fruits. Green gram, or what we call as moong dal, is an excellent dish which can keep your body healthy. You can rice it alone or along with rice or whichever grain you use to. Take body shower twice a day and head bath at least once a day. And go for regular activities which will make your system mobile. Don't be idle. And if you prefer to have some medicines, definitely there will be some which we are using very widely in Kerala. Government of Kerala has a program itself called Amritam, which is something like a preventive program, preventive campaign, this COVID-19. Certain medicines I can suggest, like Chavanaprasham or Agastya Haritagi or Agastya Rasayanam. Both are sweet. So if you are not a diabetic, you can consume it comfortably, maybe twice a day, 10 grams both the times, either Chavanaprasham or Agastya Haritagi, which will give very good resistance capacity to your system by and large. But consider the capacity to digest your power of your Agni always before taking some medicine. I would strongly recommend to consult your local Vaidya before consuming these medicines which I suggested. But by and large, they are safe, and that will make sure that you are protected. Definitely, I'm not negating any of the points of the social distancing or wearing the mask or sanitizing your premises and body parts. Definitely, they are important, but this is an added advice from the Ayurvedic side. I think it is informative.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir. This is
Namaskaram. Good
Prasad
evening.
from Khammam, Telangana. Very nice lecture, sir. We learned so many things
Thank you.
on this. At present, Government of India also promoting the raising of herbal medicinal plants in the government institutes and private institutes also, and also promoting the home-based herbal plants. Okay, we know. Small clarification and information, sir. What is the meaning of Untitled? Can you explain in English of the scientific name of the?
Okay, Untitled is not a single herb. Untitled is a medicinal preparation, an oil preparation, which has got many ingredients in it. Those herbs are used to medicate this oil, and it is prepared in the classical way of oil preparations in Ayurveda, and that oil is called Untitled.
Okay, thank you.
It is not for head application, it is for nasal application. Either you can put one drop in each nostril, or you can smear the Untitled inside the nasal cavity.
Our program is almost over now. Dr. Prasad has done a fantastic job by giving valuable informations to behave in this pandemic situation. We are very thankful to Prasad sir.
Thank you.
I now welcome Dr. Parvati to extend a vote of.
As you all know, Vibhavani is an organization working to empower the people at the grassroots level in various strategies of the society. The main concern for the world for the last 10 months have been health. So this has made us to think about a talk on the current health aspects, especially related to the indigenous mode of treatment, that is Ayurveda. Moving on to my responsibility of delivering the vote of thanks. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Unni Mangat, State President and National General Body Member of Vibhavani India, for delivering the welcome speech. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Rajiv Ji, Executive Director, Vibhavani India and Vice Chair of Innovation Foundation, for presiding over the session. Thank you, sir. Next, it's my privilege to thank Vaidyan M. Prasad for delivering today's speech. He's the Director, Sunethri Foundation, and he have enriched the wisdom of the participants, and I'm sure that every listener would have benefited from your session. Thank you, sir. Next, I would like to thank Mr. Narayanan, State Coordinator, Vibhavani, Kerala, for coordinating the event. Also, last but not least, I would like to thank all the delegates, State Coordination Team members of Kerala Vibhavani Chapter.